Is it Pep's fault? Is it not Pep's fault? I suppose that's the question of this video here, really. But let me just say up front here, it is not the fault of Tiki. I'll start maybe with that, because I know people will try to shift the blame away from Pep Guardiola. Now, whether you think it's Pep's fault or not, the fact of the matter is people will try to shift the blame away onto Tiki. But here's the thing people need to understand about Tiki's job. It's not his job to sign players. What do you mean it's not? It's his job to get the deals over the line. If Pep Guardiola wants a player, it's Tiki's job to get that player. If Pep Guardiola doesn't want a player, Tiki does not go and get a player. So when Pep Guardiola asks for a player, let's say Bruno Guimaraes, Tiki goes, has a conversation, okay, I've got this deal for, let's say, 100 million. I think that was the amount, right? 100 million. I've got this deal, he says. Goes to the board, says, this is the deal we got. Khaldoon and Pep discuss this deal together with Tiki. Tiki is the one who goes make the deal. He doesn't actually get the final stamp of approval on it. That is Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is the one who ultimately decides whether a deal goes through or not. Well, from our end of the club. All the clubs get to decide on their own, of course, but Pep Guardiola is ultimately the one who decides, does Man City spend money? Pep Guardiola was offered money in the summer. He decided not to spend it. That was Pep Guardiola's executive decision. Khaldoon Al Mubarak, Tiki, the board in general, all advised Pep to sign players. Pep Guardiola advised them not to and said, we are fine. You cannot blame Tiki. And with that, let's talk about this disaster. Right, so we actually had Rico Lewis here and Gundogan here. So what we saw this game was very weird from Pep, because I will blame Pep Guardiola for the transfer window, as I've just explained. But tactically, this game was sound for the most part. But tactically, it was mostly sound. He just got failed by his players. And let me explain why. Yeah? First of all, he had Grealish in midfield again. Grealish, he was carrying the ball through midfield. He went out a bit wide sometimes in order to get the ball from wide areas into midfield and find pockets of space. And it was combining Grealish, his role as a winger, and Grealish, his role as a midfielder. It required Grealish having a lot of freedom, but it allowed Grealish to pretty much be wherever he wanted on the pitch and to get us forwards on the pitch and help us control the ball. That is why we were so good on the ball that game, why we, at least in the first half, why we didn't lose any possessions and anything like that. Now, Grealish later goes on to become a touchline winger after substitutions, we'll talk about that in a second, but for the most part, Grealish is everywhere, and that's where we need Grealish to be. Grealish needs to be where Grealish wants to be. Give this guy freedom, give this guy space, and he will cook. So that was solid. Bernardo Silva back on the wing. Listen, I don't rate him anymore. I think he's washed. You guys know that. But this is better than having him in midfield. And maybe we could have played Savio or Nunez. I might have preferred that. But we have a Mank derby coming up. We still need to worry about that. We can't play half of these guys like Akanji, Kovacic. Are you guys fit? They were on the bench. Are they fit? I don't know. But from what we played, it was mostly sound. We dominated possession. Gvardiol. I mean, this was the weak point. Gvardiol was the weak point in a way. Because Gvardiol is so good that teams just avoid going at him. They just target Diaz, who's slow on a counter, and Walker, who's Walker, as showcased by the first goal. Thank you, Walker. But in these moments, Gvardiol was pretty much unable to impact the game. Because everything was happening around him, and his teammates weren't pulling their weight. And when Guardiola started, I'll compare it to a historical moment, in history. That's why it's called a historical moment. So, in 1814, you know how the Allies beat Napoleon? Napoleon Bonaparte, the greatest general ever, statistically speaking. They beat him by not fighting him. You know what they did? Napoleon could not be everywhere at once. Napoleon could be in the east, they will take their armies north or west, and they'll try to fight there against a marshal. They just avoided Napoleon. Wherever Napoleon was, back off, go the other way. That is how they beat Napoleon's army. This is literally the same fucking thing. Avoid Guardiola like the fucking plague. Go to Diaz, who again is slow, and Walker, who is fucking Walker. Now that would not work if we had a box midfield like we did in the treble season. This is a box midfield in... Well, it's not a box midfield. It's not a box midfield really. Because it fails to do what the box midfield did. The entire point of the box midfield is two things. Hold on to the ball. Don't allow counters through the center. It forces counters to go out through these areas. We're having a lot of counters down the middle. Our box midfield is not doing the job that it is supposed to do. So Diaz is exposed on pace, which he should not be if we have a good box midfield, but we don't. We have Gundogan, Rico Lewis, and let's be honest, De Bruyne is not in his best years anymore. And Kyle Walker, okay, we get counter attacks down the left. Kyle Walker is simply not performing. It's that simple. He's not performing. And that allows teams to just avoid playing against Guardiola. It does not matter if you have Guardiola on the pitch. Teams will not play against him. They won't. Why play against a good defender who can hold his own pace-wise, who you can't cook in a one-on-one, when you can just go down the middle through a defender who's not that fast, or when you can go down the left against Kyle fucking Walker. Tactically, it just... People will say this, yeah? People will say this. Pep should have just played defensively. I agree. I fully agree. We should have been playing defensively 10 games ago. I was talking about the issues at Man City when we were still winning games. But then I was reactionary. Here's the fact here. You guys, and I'm making a generalizing statement. I know not all of you, but many of you guys watching right now, you are the ones who always praise Pep Guardiola for holding to his guns. This is the same thing he did in his debut season. He sticks with his guns even if it doesn't work. That is what most Man City fans really rate him for. Well, would you look at that? He's sticking to his guns again. Nothing has changed with Pep Guardiola's managing style. It's just Pep Guardiola. His players are not good enough and his tactics are too stubborn. But that's always been the same. The players are not good enough for his tactics. That's the only thing that has really changed here. So should he switch up those tactics? Yeah, but he's not gonna, because he's stubborn. He thinks he's a genius. He's not a genius, let me tell you why. Not a single genius has ever had the idea of trying the same thing 1,000 times over, even if it doesn't work. He's not a genius. That's just the problem, yeah? Is he a great manager? Yeah. Is he potentially the greatest of all time? Potentially. Is he a genius? You cannot be a genius if you are this stubborn. A genius at this point would have realized it's not working and changed it up. So for that reason, I understand why people blame Pep. I understand that people blame Pep, as I myself do, for not getting into players we needed in the summer. For telling the board, listen, we're kind of fucked. For telling the board, listen, we don't need players, and then we get kind of fucked over because of it. So, I understand why people want to criticize Pep for this, and usually I am the first on the Pep criticism train, aren't I? I've criticized Pep enough on this channel. But don't sugarcoat it. Don't scapegoat people. Don't sugarcoat it. Is Pep at fault? Maybe. But you know what? Tactically, we were solid today. The players were just not good enough. So talk about the players. Pep Guardiola should be talked about outside of games, because where he failed Man City is in the summer transfer window, and Tiki should stop being your scapegoat. He is not at fault for whatever Man City has become. I need you guys to understand this, yeah? Tiki was here before Pep. Where are all these people coming from that are more loyal to Pep than Tiki? Bro, I will throw Pep off a cliff before I talk shit of Tiki. Tiki made us a big club. Pep Guardiola came here. Okay, he won a few trophies. We won trophies under other managers. He's our most successful ever. And he's also our most backed ever. Surprise, surprise, you give a great manager double the resources of any other manager you've ever had in a single season. He's gonna be great. Come on. I'm not saying that Pellegrini or Mancini were better than him, or that anyone could have done what Alex Ferguson probably could have done it, but that's besides the point. Almost no one, except arguably Alex Ferguson, could have done this with the same resources. Wait, what? Not almost no one, am I trying to say, except for Alex Ferguson, could have done this with the same resources. But even if you give them a lot of resources, even if you give them the same resources and they don't get the same accomplishments, I'm not making sense, am I? What I'm trying to say here is there are other managers out there who can win trophies. Other managers who are more motivated, clearly, who have fresher ideas, maybe newer ideas. Look at Maresca. Look at Arne Slot. The managers that are currently spanking Pep Guardiola into next Tuesday, giving his butt the fucking standing ovation, bro. They're giving his butt a standing ovation. They are new managers. New ideas. Is it about time that Man City gets those? I mean, maybe. But come on. Let's talk about the players today. Criticize Pep tomorrow. And let's leave Tiki alone. Because Tiki, guess what? He's the one that made us a big club. Pep Guardiola is the one who came to win a few trophies once we were a big club already. Thank you for that, Pep. But you're not our maker. That is Tiki before you. And before Tiki it's Khaldoon. And before Khaldoon, it's fucking Sake. You're my fourth on the priority list, Pep. Yeah? Pep Guardiola is my fourth on the people who made Man City list. Yeah? So that's very high up there. That's very high up. But stop scapegoating number 3, please. Thank you. The fan base. I was going to say my fan base. I'm Man City now. Before I end the video here, let's talk about this. Like and subscribe, by the way, if you haven't already. And big up to Ahmed Abdullahi or something like that. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I saw you in a stream earlier today as well. And you'll see why I'm talking about this now. Was it Lewis's stream or was it the stream of someone else? I was in a few streams this morning. I can't remember, but big up to you. Thank you for watching. But what I was going to say is, whenever I talk with like streamers of foreign fan bases, they say, "You Man City fans." Like, I am the Manchester City fan base. I am the entire fan base of Manchester City. That's reassuring to know, then I guess all my opinions are universally accepted by the Man City fan base, which means you guys should like and subscribe to the channel. Because my opinions are objectively true, because I am the entire Man City fan base. I am objectively right. Anyhow, that was completely besides the point. I was trying to plug myself in there. What pisses me off about the fan base is when we scapegoat, I was going to say Sheikh Mansour. You can tell that I just don't know where I'm going with this video, can't you? Normally, I'm less scrambled, but today it took me, I literally looked at my screen for like half an hour before pressing record, and I was like, what the actual fuck can I say about this game? Like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.